One bad Google review cost a business owner I know 40 grand in revenue. Not because the review was true, but because he had nothing to bury it with. So here's the thing nobody talks about. You're going to get bad reviews. It's not a question of if, it's when. And when it happens, the only thing that's standing between you and lost leads is the system you built before it happened. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to bury negative reviews and why building an automated review machine is the single highest ROI thing you can do for your local business this year. So let's get into it. First, I need you to understand something that most business owners completely miss. They're always worried about getting negative reviews. Okay, and negative reviews aren't really the problem. I know that sounds crazy, so just stay with me, please. A study found that customers who see only 5-star reviews actually trust the business less than a business that has like a 4.7-star review. Why is that? Because they think the reviews are fake. So nobody has a perfect record. Customers aren't stupid. We all know that there are people out there that complain about dumb things. So here's what actually matters. It's the ratio and the response. So when a potential customer lands on your Google business listing, here's what they do. They typically scroll to your worst review, not your best. There's a lot of positive reviews out there, but they see your worst. They're doing a vibe check. They're asking one question. Is this a legitimate complaint, or is this person just a lunatic? And here is the beautiful part. People are pretty good at figuring this out, okay? They're not stupid. A 1-star review that says, "Oh, this was the worst experience of my life. They ruined everything," with 0 details, it actually helps you because the reader thinks, all right, Karen had a bad day. Okay, dismissed. But a 1-star review that says, "We waited 3 weeks for a response, nobody called us back, and this was a terrible company to work with. Everything went wrong. They left a mess on my property." That one lands. So that is the one that costs you customers because it's very specific, it's credible, and it sounds like something that could happen to them. So your job is twofold, okay? Respond professionally to every bad review. You're not trying to convince the angry customer, that's way past it already. But you want to show every future customer reading that you are a reasonable, accountable business that takes ownership for your mistakes. Then you need to bury it with volume. Let me show you why this is actually simple math, okay? Say you have 50 reviews. You get one bad one. That's just 2% of your reviews, but it shows up immediately and on top and it stinks. Now let's say you have 500 reviews, you get a bad one. It's already drowning. The algorithm pushes it back. Your average barely moves. A potential customer would have to work really hard to find it. And you have 500 other reviews to justify that you are a legitimate, great company to work with. Okay. So here's the real kicker. Google's algorithm weighs recency heavily. So a bad review from 6 months ago, buried under 40 new 5 stars, it is effectively invisible. Volume is the moat. So volume is your insurance policy, and it's what you're buying when you build a review system. The businesses that are scared of bad reviews are scared because they're reactive or they don't have that many reviews to drown out the bad review. They wait for the review to drop and then panic. So that's not the way to go. The businesses that win online are proactive. They built a machine that runs whether they're thinking about it or not, and those reviews get pushed down heavily. So here's how you build the machine. And I'm going to make this so simple. You could hand it to your front desk person this afternoon. So the first step is the ask. Most businesses don't get reviews because they don't ask. They just don't do it. That's it. That's the whole problem. You're assuming happy customers will volunteer a review, and they will not. Not because they don't like you, but because nobody thinks about it unless they're actually prompted to do it. Nobody's taking extra time out of their day to do these things that they just don't care. They have other stuff to do. So when you ask, it has to be frictionless and it has to happen at the peak of customer experience, okay? So not a week later in a cold email, right after you do something really great for them, right after the moment they say, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you, this was amazing. That is your in, that is your window. Okay, so if you have a card that has a QR code on it, you can show them that. Say, hey, could you just go to our page and just leave us a really quick review? So if you do this, your conversion rate will go from 5 to like 50% when you just make it really easy for them to do it. Okay, if you're remote and they're already gone, maybe they paid the bill, whatever it may be, send them a text. Don't send them an email. Nobody really reads their emails right away, and send it right after they're done with your service. Okay, send them a direct link, one tap and done. Step 2 is automate the trigger. So whatever CRM or booking software you're using, as soon as a job is marked complete, a text should fire automatically. You set this up once and it just keeps running. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to have your staff think about it. Nobody has to remember anything. It just happens. And if you don't have a CRM, you should get one. But even if you don't, you can do this with a free tool like Google Sheets and Zapier or Make. Seriously, there really is no excuse for this because there's so many tools out there that can do this. You shouldn't manually have to be asking for reviews anymore. Okay, now when you send this message, it should be personal and it shouldn't be generic, just like, hey, leave us a review. Okay, it should say something like, hey, name, it was great working with you today. If you had a great experience with Joe, we'd really appreciate a quick Google review. So that makes it a little more personal when you add maybe the person they worked with or maybe the specific service that they got. It makes them more inclined to actually leave the review. And then you send the link and you say it just takes 30 seconds. Okay, so you're telling them, hey, this is going to be quick. And sometimes I like to add, like, this helps other people make a good decision before hiring a concrete company, whatever it is, just so they know why we're looking for this reviews. So you're not begging, you're not putting pressure on them, you're not offering a discount for the review that can get you penalized with Google. So you just ask. It's a real ask from a real person. Okay, so step 3 is the filter. This is a technique that the smartest local businesses use. Before you ask for a Google review, you ask an internal question first. So you could say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was your experience? If they say like 8, 9, or 10, you send them straight to Google. If they say anything below that, you send them to an internal feedback form. So you collect the complaint, fix the problem, follow up, you save their relationship before it becomes a public 1-star review. So you also do need to put the review link on that feedback page. That is part of Google's terms of service. But so they have the option to leave a review, but you're trying to really get honest feedback. And if something really did go wrong, then you really want to address that before it happens again, because sometimes these things happen over and over again. If you have a problem with staff or you have a problem with one of your processes, this is going to keep happening. So you want to find this and fix it before it gets worse. Okay, so sending them to this internal feedback page is not deceptive. You're not hiding any feedback. You're just routing it appropriately. So this customer that's disappointed really just wants to be heard. They're not trying to burn your business down online. Just give them the chance to be heard privately first. Step 4 is the volume target. So here is the rule I'd use. You need to be collecting at minimum 2 new reviews per week to stay relevant in your market. Now, sometimes markets are harder than that. If you're in like the law industry, like people are collecting 2 reviews every second. Like, it's crazy. But 2 reviews a week, that's 100 reviews a year. That's a pretty good wall of social proof that competitors without a system they simply cannot match that. Okay, they're getting maybe 1 review every 3 weeks. So you're already ahead of the game. And the math on bearing a bad review, you just need roughly 10 positive reviews to neutralize the psychological impact of negative ones. So if you're getting 2 a week and you get a bad one, you've gotten rid of it within 5 weeks automatically. The machine handles it and you don't have to stress. Okay, so now you'll still get bad reviews that slip through even with the filter, and here's how to respond. So never ever respond when you're angry. wait 24 hours or have someone on staff that has a little bit of cooler demeanor respond to this review. And never argue facts publicly, even if you're right, because every future customer reading that sees a business that argues with customers and they leave. That's not good. You don't want to be the argumentative business, okay? So use something like, thank you for sharing your experience. This isn't the standard we hold ourselves to, and I love the opportunity to make it right. Please reach out to us directly at whatever email or phone so we can resolve this. Okay, so you want to keep it short and professional and show accountability, and that invites private resolution, and that also shows it shows that you care and you're trying to resolve this. So that response isn't necessarily for the reviewer, it's for the next 1,000 people who read it and say, oh, that's a professional company, they handled that really well. So here's the reality. Sometimes people leave 1-star reviews because they just had a bad day, because they're difficult, because their expectation was unrealistic. Your response signals to every reader that you're reasonable and that the reviewer might just be the problem. It's not you, it's them. You don't have to say that, but the way that you answer this kind of does it for you, which is really nice. So be professional in the way that you respond. Okay, so let's hop over to the cost of not doing this. And what does inaction actually cost you? So the average local business loses 22% of potential customers from a single negative review on page 1. That number goes to 59% with 3 negative reviews. If your average customer is worth, let's say, $500 to you, and you're getting 20 inquiries a month, and you're losing 20% of them to bad reviews, that's $2,000 a month. $24,000 a year gone silently. You never even saw it because they just didn't call. So the system I just described to you costs a couple hours to set up. It's maybe $50 a month in software, and the return is asymmetric. Okay, so here's a summary of what we just talked about. Bad reviews are inevitable. Volume is your defense. So build an automated ask that fires the moment of peak customer happiness. Use a filter to route unhappy customers to a private channel before they go public. Respond to every bad review like a professional for the audience of future customers. Target 2 new reviews a week minimum, and you build a wall that no single bad review can touch. You don't need to be scared of your Google business listing. You just need to own it. Go build the machine. All right. If this helped you out, subscribe to my content. All right. And if you'd like to see how I set this up for local businesses, reach out to me.